Good morning. Welcome to Life of the Party Knowledge Management. I'm Sarah Lean and I'll be moderating this session today. And now I'd like to hand it over to our wonderful presenter, Dana, to do her introduction.
All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. I think I've told Sarah this too, but I won't be monitoring the chat. Sarah will, but feel free to chat me up or make any comments in there, any questions in there, and Sarah will jump in and ask me. So I'm fine with questions throughout the presentation. And then obviously this is also being recorded, so you'll be able to see it or share it with your friends later. All right, so first off, hi, I am Dana. A little bit about me, a little bit of my background. I have a Russian history bachelor's from UC Berkeley. I mainly mention that because yesterday I was in one of the sessions and people were talking about how many people are coming from outside of the IT field. So I did not graduate with a computer science degree, graduated first with a Russian history degree. And then I went and got a master's in library science. That's how I actually ended up here in Madison. I'm from California originally. Came to Madison and I never left. So I got a library science degree from there and spent most of my 20s working in audio archives. And then I got into podcast journalism and podcast preservation. That was really great, but it wasn't really paying the bills. So I became a level 2 support specialist or help desk agent for the DoIT help desk in 2017. So in a few months, I'm coming up to my 6-year anniversary here. While I was at the help desk as a level 2 agent, I had, strong opinions about the KB and about training. And I think just generally, because I was in a career change, I had definitely a little bit intimidation, imposter syndrome. When I first joined, I had no idea what mapping a network drive meant. And I felt just plain stupid all the time. And the KB helped a lot, but I thought it could help even more. I had really strong opinions, like I said, and I had really high expectations. So thankfully, I work with supervisors and people that noticed that and noticed my interest and respected my master's too. It's funny because in the library world, like a master's in library science is a dime a dozen. Everyone has to have one to even just get a paraprofessional job. But here it's like, wow, libraries. So it's a good boost to the morale. We had plans actually to move me into a full-time position doing KB work, but then COVID happened. And COVID was really terrible. There for me, though, was a silver lining is that COVID really highlighted the importance for the organization of knowledge management. Two of the big things that we had to onboard were Zoom and Safer Badgers. So we had to do just very quick documentation, trying to get as much out there as possible that end users could consume so that we could hold off a little bit on the pressure that it put on us. So COVID, specifically for my job, was a good thing, not for anything else. And in 2022, last February, I was made officially the DoIT Help Desk documentation lead. And then also I'm in an X-Files era right now, so enjoy a few X-Files drops during this presentation. All right, so I also wanted to introduce you to the DoIT Help Desk if you didn't already know it, and maybe you don't know it from the back end. DoIT, the help desk, we have hundreds of services from centralized campus services like multi-factor authentication or Duo to Learn at UW Suite, Microsoft 365. We also do some more specialized things that people buy into or buy licenses for. Hundreds of services. The help desk supports them if they want them. So that's what part of my job is. So first off, we think about tier 0, and we think about that as self-service. We're really focused on right now on the effortless experience, so user experience. We really want people to come away with just being able to solve their problem right away. So that doesn't always mean documentation. That also might actually mean there's a tool that the service itself has. For example, network services has a register your own device kind of tool, so that especially for the dorm residents, so that they can just register it right away. If they have problems, then they come to us. NetID obviously does a lot of emphasis on setting your recovery emails, resetting your own password, things like that. So those are what we consider tier 0 and self-service. And then also, of course, documentation and the KB, which we are going to talk about later. But one thing I also wanted to note is that the tier 0, interestingly, we get views and users from around the world. So our KB actually helps everyone. They don't have to be affiliated with the campus. Level 1 is for campus affiliates. That might mean that they're applicants or even maybe interested in applying, or they're applied and admitted but not yet matriculated. It also means obviously staff, faculty. If you're affiliated with UW, give us a call and we'll try to help you. And it also means that level 1 supports the centralized campus services. So especially with staff and faculty, they might have they're in the biology lab, or they're doing digital humanities in the English department, and they might have a specialized software that we don't know of, and we might know of an IT help desk that could better help them. So we refer them over there, but we help with centralized services. Like I said before, the Duo, Zoom, those things that everyone on campus are, depending on their affiliation, are eligible for. And then level 2, this is the tier 2. This is where I was hired into. So that's primarily desktop support for contracted departments. We call them contract partners. We also provide some enterprise support there. And then tier 3 is service teams. They are responsible for the management, maintenance, communication, technical support of a service. They also might end up escalating to a vendor, depending on how their service is run. All right. We good on questions, Sarah? I'm going to move forward.
If you're good.
Cool. Okay. So as the documentation lead, I'm not going to read through this whole thing, but I'll give a little bit about what I do and what I don't do. My position definitely gets constantly confused with, well, what I do and what I don't do. I think what a lot of people think that I do is that I take your service and I learn everything about Duo and then I write out the articles about it. That's not what I'm doing. I'm thinking more, when I do my work, I'm focused more on coordinating and facilitating the services that require support from the help desk specifically. So I'm thinking about this from a strategic or a high level. I'm trying to ensure that documentation, both including procedural or documentation like it's administrative, the biggest questions that I think we get are, am I eligible for this service, or why am I not eligible for this service? And I want to be, and I'm grumpy. And I'm trying to make sure that we work with the right subject matter experts. So I work with services as they're being onboarded, modified, or decommissioned. I help let them know. I provide help desk needs and expectations. So when a service is onboarded into DoIT and they become part of our system, our catalog, we ask them, do you want help desk support? If you do, just know that we will require tools and or documentation and or troubleshooting guides to actually be able to support your service. And if you can't provide that, then we can do a referral to the group that is doing that. So some services that do it, they actually have They just want people to bypass the help desk and they want people to talk to them directly. That's fine. We just need then to make sure that we have the documentation for that. So one of the biggest benefits about this position as documentation lead is that I actually have a lot more authority now to set a KM or knowledge management vision. Before it was, this would be nice, but I don't really have the authority for that. So a lot of this might seem kind of common sense, but I think there was a time, especially while the KB started to grow and grow and grow, the people that were involved with the KB, they got farther and farther from the help desk, and there was this kind of like vacuum of how to actually set a strong knowledge management vision for the help desk. So now I can do that, and I can say, hey, if you want a service, who's your technical writer? Who am I going to be working with? What's your KB site? And then I can also help them along that journey if they need it. So I use 3 goals to guide my work. I can get pretty overwhelmed with how many services we do have, all the needs, all the little questions that come up. I get requests through Teams and email and verbally and meetings and, just like you do. So what I try to do is use these 3 goals to guide my work. These 3 goals also really highlight, I am able to use them to highlight 2 service providers when I'm working with them, in stating our case about why we want a robust and accurate and well-maintained knowledge base, and why I need their technical writer and their KB site. So the first folks I'm thinking about are users, tier 0, self-service, effortless experience. I'm thinking about, is there a way that I don't even have to do documentation? Is there if you have a welcome email? I was just working with a graduate school, and there was a confusion for all the admitted but not yet matriculated. They don't have in their welcome email what that means. So, hey, service provider, can you just put that in the welcome email so that these students have that language? Yes, it put down cases. We're no longer getting those cases as much. So it doesn't always have to think about the documentation is up, but I'm thinking about user experience, effortless experience. People get to the KB in a lot of different ways. They might do a search. They might just go straight in Google. They might go straight to the KB. They also might find a link in UW-Madison Tech News or like a DoIT newsletter, something like that. I've seen people post on Reddit about us. They might have bookmarked a reference, something like that. There's lots of ways to discover it. One way might be through the DoIT Instagram, where they're really into memes. They actually will like bring in memes. They ask the students, because our students are joyful and hilarious and they love to make memes. So this is one where you can see it was a story, and they linked the KB there about how to actually set a recovery email address. You wouldn't believe how many cases we have gotten in the past that are just if they had just set their recovery email address. So that's a case where the DoIT help desk has then worked with that service provider to say like, hey, can you just fix this little thing? And that'll have our cases plummet. They might also get there through the DoIT help desk KB. We have had, so this is the front page of the DoIT help desk specific KB. So this is not the unified KB. This is my site. We have had here 2 million views since just January. So we have millions of views every year. I track our metrics for what's going up and down every week. We can see up here, we have quick links to how to actually contact us, scam alerts. And then these are curated pages to our most popular services and our most helpful documents. I try to focus on the KB. Again, I know I've said it so many times, but that effortless experience, that user experience, I'm thinking about that. I'm also thinking about a lot of accessibility. So not just with the CSS and the code and the alt tags, but using plain language and making sure that the documents we have up, ideally, I can emphasize that to service providers of how important something like plain language is, so that all reading levels can enjoy. maybe not enjoy our content, but at least like get something out of our content.
Before you move
So
forward,
yeah,
we have a question. Is
yeah.
there a repository of memes that people could access to get access to?
Um, we don't have a repository, but that's a funny idea. I'll talk to DoIT Communications about it. Okay. We a secret meme KB. We do. Funnily enough, can you see this if I move this over? Hopefully I don't now go over my time, but we have this fun link section where our students have a lot of fun. So you can see like there's Taylor Swift songs. This is a student like went through and did kind of like a song selection for what you're in the mood for. And we do have like our custom dashboards, major events. My favorite one is May 2020 to present is just suffering because that was COVID. But yeah, we have like our major events and best cases, we have quotes, you know, things like that. So we kind of have a secret meme KB, I guess, but it's something that just mainly the students enjoy. So I'll talk to DoIT Communications about those memes.
Dana, did the Taylor Swift one involve Elizabeth Trenta and or Bailey?
100%.
Excellent. Not surprised.
100%. I think Bailey did it, and then Elizabeth is, you can see it's Bailey Conrad down here.
Amazing.
And I think Elizabeth was expected to keep it up.
That is
also
beautiful.
What's funny is in the KB, you can like reserve special doc numbers. So you can see that Bailey deleted a document that was the 22nd document to ever exist because it wasn't useful anymore. And he took ownership of it because I don't think he had been born. It says created in 2000 October, but I don't think he was born yet then. But it's 22 because Taylor Swift in 22. So we let them have fun. This is what keeps them engaged. All right. I love talking about our students because I adore them. I think the weirdest thing about working with college students is that I get older and they stay the same age. So they kind of keep me young, I guess. So speaking of our help desk agents, if you I'm thinking about them second. So if a user does have to call the help desk, either because they don't know about the KB or they tried a solution, it didn't work, or it's part of the procedure, I want our students to know right away, ideally, what they're working on, what it is that they need help with. I come at this with a lot of empathy and advocacy for my students, that are students that I know. I was a support agent, and it can be really stressful to be on a call with someone who is upset about something and just wants the technology to work. So the help desk is the first place that we go. Our students are lovely. Here's in the cheese hat, that is Bailey, and this is Eric, and I think this is Joe. I think this is one of my former students. These two were part of the Eastie Boys, which was a band that existed at the help desk. And then this is a more recent picture. This was actually taken because this was the most amount of students that were on site since March 13, 2020. So this was taken just this year, a few months ago, as a celebration, I guess, of some sort of normalcy coming back. So I'm thinking about our help desks, our help desk students and our agents. There's a large, totally normal student turnover. Students just, they're coming and going all the time. They're graduating, they're finding internships, things like that. And to train, they actually just do this one really long weekend. So they have like I think 2 days of 8-hour sessions. That's their training. The rest of it is through the KB and through experience. And then we have a lot of people, you can see here, we are in just a ton of team channels, too many team channels. So that's one of the ways that our students learn, but they really rely on the KB for most things. And then also, just so you know, we have from anywhere from 70 to about 80 students at any one time. This is what our internal KB looks like. I don't really have time for a full live demo, but I gave you one. I gave you the important things like the Taylor Swift song, so I think we're good. But you can see here we have quick links on the side for the most commonly used tools. Down right here in the front is support news. Not all of our services, unfortunately, use support news yet, but this is one of my roles, is when I'm working with services, I say, have you thought about using support news to communicate information both to end users and to help desk agents? So we have, I think, especially the productivity and collaboration team, that's like Microsoft and Zoom, and Learn at UW use the support news, just like chef's kiss. And then we have some operational stuff over here too. So lastly, then I'm thinking about, we make a case to the technologists, to the level 3 folks, to the service teams, for a few reasons. One, I know that they are very, very busy. They are, like I said, they are managing the service. They are maintaining the service. They're coding sometimes, or they're working with vendors, and then they have pretty complicated support cases. So we want them to be able to jump into a more difficult case that we were not able to resolve at our levels right away. So we want to be able to have the basic troubleshooting done, like clearing cache and cookies. We want to collect that information and send it right up. So my colleague Wanjiro and I work really closely together to primarily work with services we call it handling documents, to gather that information. And then a strong thing that I've mentioned before is that I kind of force people to have KB sites, or if they want support, then I want them to have a KB or some documentation. Oh, and then I don't let them create documentation in the help desk KB, only there's like really small exceptions now, because I've dealt with the legacy of how we get stuck with it. Those people move on, and then we aren't subject matter experts. So we just get rotting content. So I kind of force their teams to focus on documentation. So they create sites and then they pipe their content into the help desk for the maximum discoverability, so that I let them know that, hey, our help desk agents, a lot of DoIT communications and such, they push you to the help desk KB. So if you pipe the content you want into the help desk KB, it's more likely to be found. So here are some examples of KB sites: Office of the Registrar, Departmental Support, Whisk Web, Eloqua, KB User's Guide is so helpful, Cisco WebEx, Cybersecurity, Microsoft 365, Zoom, Learn at UW-Madison, Shared Tools, DoIT Web Hosting, UW-Madison Profile. And this stresses me out, so Palette Cleanser, X-Files Palette Cleanser. Yeah, Leah, we do need a rotting content graphic tee. Okay, I know I'm running out of time. So the biggest thing that I do is maintenance. I really talk about maintenance to our services. That I think that's the most important part of a thriving knowledge management system, because I think creation is actually pretty easy, especially maybe with ChatGPT now. But I think the maintenance part is the hardest part. So how my team comes in is we get feedback on our cases, we get feedback on our documents, sorry. And if they're inside of the DoIT help desk, then it goes to my team. You can see here, we have some comments here, and then you can see the type of documents that they're responding to, like help desk deactivation timeline, what to do when a resident brings their own router. So then I have trained 5 students. They take on a case, they look to see what they need to do about it. They might escalate it to another team. They might talk to a service provider. They might decide that they don't actually need to respond to the feedback. Sometimes it's just people being slightly grumpy. or just like a one case that didn't go so well, but overall it's working okay. So we do a lot of triage and response. And then there is some different future plans. Primarily I am KCS certified. That stands for Knowledge Centered Service. So it's a type of knowledge management model that the AIMS group uses widely and very successfully. So in the past year, the DoIT Help Desk and AIMS, they've been working just tirelessly to merge support. So now we support both customer groups, and we also merged the both repositories so that the AIMS knowledge management system is now in Sharewell. And KCS is just it really highlights, it's like it embeds knowledge management into the team instead of parallel to it, to how we do it currently. So the subject matter experts, the support technologists, they're creating, reusing, and improving their documents while they work, instead of like finding an hour on a Tuesday to check in that the documents are maintained. This is something that they follow. They call it UFA. So you do a search. If you can find a relevant article, no, you just add it. If you can, is it correct, complete? Great, use it. If it's not, then you talk about flagging it and fixing it. So we are starting to embark on that, and first training it at level 2 right now, and then we might branch it out. We'll see. And then I will be linking my resources in, or Sarah, I'm not sure, one of us will be linking some resources in the chat for you that are about creating KBs, accessible KBs and things like that. Thank you. I made it with 3 minutes to spare.
Yeah, we have one question in the chat right now. Is there a KB article on the life cycle of KB articles?
Oh, good question. There is in various, so for the help desk, there is a knowledge management article. It's something that I haven't really looked at in a while though. We do have a knowledge management, we have a style guide that I look at more often. And then the KB users guide, I believe, does have a life cycle of articles that you should consider when you're creating your site.
And we actually linked your all of the resources to the webpage and to the Zoom session guide.
Cool.
So
I did just pop them in here too.
Awesome.
Ketter, yeah, no, I'm not going to ignore you ever, because actually it looks like that link to the style guide didn't link. So this is publicly accessible through a Google Doc. Otherwise, it's actually a KB doc that all DoIT staff can access.
It is really, 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 really fantastic. If anyone hasn't seen it yet and you're new to creating documentation, I look at it constantly.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. That's
great.
Wonderful. Thank you. Yeah, and the bottom one, Ketter, I don't know if you knew, but the very bottom page is like a no, the second to last page is supposed to be kind of like something you could print out and post on your wall as kind of like a quick reference after you've read through the guide.
I love that. I didn't know that. Thank you.
Okay. So looks like we've come to the end of the session. We've had some great questions. This was a wonderful session. Thank you very much for doing it. We've got requests in there for you to do more sessions at other conferences too.
Oh, so okay.
Yeah, so it was went over really well. Thank you very much. And to everyone who's joined us, thank you very much for attending this session. And you've got a short break and then jump into the next session before lunch. Have a wonderful day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. I really enjoyed it.
Thanks, Dana. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.